Welcome to the Friday Happy Hour with victory strategist, award-winning author and your happy hour host, Annmarie Kelly. Each week, Annmarie chats with women who have reinvented, started over or wrote fabulous next chapters. They share how they overcame their midlife challenges and how you can too. So kick back with some good happy hour something to drink and enjoy today's show.
You're listening to the Friday Happy Hour with me, Annmarie Kelly, and I'm that recovering good girl and your victorious woman empowerment partner. And this is the place where us victory chicks and you men who care about us meet on Fridays to chat about the week and to find ways to live more powerfully and make our lives better. I'm glad you came to Happy Hour today. We're walking on the wild side with today's guest. She's Sandra LaMorgese, and her midlife reinvention isn't like one you hear about almost any time. When she was 55, she made a career switch from holistic healthcare practitioner to dominatrix. Yeah, I said dominatrix. Kind of fascinating transition, but in the process, she learned a few things about personal empowerment and money sabotages that women do, that she did, and she'll share that with you. So if you haven't poured yourself a drink yet, now's a good time. And before we get to Sandra, aren't you wondering what in the world hit Orlando, Florida this week? Now, I don't know about you, but I always think about Orlando as being the home of Walt Disney and Disney World. But not this week. Geez Louise, first it was the killing of singer Christina Grimmie, who you might know from that TV show, The Voice. That beautiful young woman was shot by some crazed fan while signing autographs. Then that horrific shooting at the gay nightclub by that Islamic terrorist. Now, as the news stories unfolded, I was thinking about a gay bar I used to go to in Maine. On a Friday night, they have, I don't know what they called it, but it was like a piano bar. And there's probably like 100 or so people in the bar, mostly gay guys, all singing show tunes. Now, you've probably heard me say before, if you listen to the show, that I don't have a singing voice. But I have great moves. So usually I'm the perfect candidate for lip syncing. But when I'm there in that bar, I can belt out my tunes like nobody's business. Because with all those strong, loud male voices, nobody can hear me. I love it. So I was thinking about that place when I heard the news of that demented terrorist killing 49 people who were all there just to have a good time on Saturday night. And it's so sad and really disturbing that every 4 or 5 months we have another terror event and nobody's doing anything about it. Of course, some of our clueless public figures immediately started talking about gun control. Well, they aren't clueless. They just don't want to waste a good tragedy by not pushing forth their own political and ideological agenda. And shame on them. That nightclub was a gun-free zone. They keep talking about guns and not terrorism. And now we find out that that sick freak had so much time and presence of mind during his terror attack that lasted for hours. He made 16 phone calls praising his Islamic idols and even texting his spouse. And he was checking social media to see if he was trending. Seriously. So there was plenty of time for him to shoot him if someone had a gun. And yes, there was one security guard who shot and missed. And that was it anyway till the police came. But then, by then, there were so many more deaths. But it was a gun-free zone, and everybody could be so happy that it was a gun-free zone. So only the bozo who had hate had the guns. Now, some of the survivors are complaining that it took the police, who did have the guns, the good guys who had the guns, too long to shoot the terrorist. And what do you think about this? The FBI was onto the guy. You know, we keep hearing if you see something, say something. Well, in Orlando, people did see something, and they did say something. And the FBI was alerted and took some some action they did. But you know what? I'm wondering. They questioned him and stuff. But I'm wondering, did political correctness prevent them from effectively isolating that Muslim freak, that radical Muslim freak? It seems that way to me. 49 people dead. And since that night, that crazy man's social media posts have been taken down. But what I want to know is this. Why do terrorists have access to social media? I mean, I know about the First Amendment stuff. But Joseph and I talked about it this week, and he made an interesting point. Freedom of speech is an American concept. It's what we have here in the U.S. If you're not from the U.S., do you really have the same free speech rights? And the Constitution isn't a good defense for stopping the use of social media from promoting terrorism. Because you can't get suspended or kicked off Facebook if its staff are... Because you can get suspended or kicked off Facebook if its staff or its algorithms decide you're going to do something that violates its rules. And if you are on Facebook, they have a ton of rules. So you can get kicked off for adding your website address to your cover photo or all kinds of seemingly insignificant things. But terrorist venom, they don't ban that. I'm at a loss for words because it doesn't make any sense. Why don't they expand those rules to include posts designed to recruit homegrown terrorists? In the United States, Paris, Brussels, any place. Well, and then there was the 2-year-old child who drowned when the alligator sucked him up. Can you imagine how that dad feels, being on the vacation of a lifetime and ending up watching your son get devoured and being able to do nothing about it? When they found that little guy, he wasn't eaten. Apparently the alligator spit him out, and then the little baby drowned. It's a heartbreaker, too. So that was 3 terrible events. And doesn't it seem so strange that they all happened within days and just a few miles from each other? Kind of weird, huh? Well, and speaking of Facebook, here's something interesting. The more upbeat than... It's more upbeat than all this other stuff. I have a closed group on Facebook called the Victory Chicks Community. Yesterday, one of the Victory Chicks, Joanne, posted a video of J.K. Rowling, the famous author of the Harry Potter series. She was talking about her failures and how they became the springboard for her success. And in that video clip, it was a TED Talk, that she said that before her Harry Potter success, she was as poor as anyone in the UK could be without being homeless. She considered herself the biggest failure she knew. But she said failure stripped away all the things that were not essential to her life. It stripped her of all her illusions about who she was, who she thought she was, what she thought she had, all that. And all she had left was her daughter, an old typewriter, and a big idea. I can appreciate that. I was in that kind of place myself when I was in my 20s. And there really was no other place to go but up. So Rowling says her failures forced her to focus on the one and only thing she was passionate about and really channel her energy. She said that the only way not to fail in life is to live so cautiously, like a life without risk, that, and I'm quoting, that you might not as well have lived at all. Now, I don't know if I totally agree with that piece of it, but that's what she said. To J.K. Rowling, the rock bottom of her life became the solid foundation on which she says she rebuilt her life. And the big idea that she had didn't just delight children, like her daughter. Her Harry Potter idea became an empire. And she's not the only one that happened to. Last week I saw that movie, Joy. It's the movie is like a half-true story about Joy Mangano, who brought us that famous Miracle Mop and those hangers, and who eventually was so successful she outgrew QVC. Now, I thought the movie was kind of terrible. Like, if you haven't seen it, you wait till it comes on television. But I love Joy Mangano's actual stories about reinventing the mop, taking the risks, and struggling to make it a success. So I'm wondering, what's your big idea? Do you have something scratching at the walls of your brain? I'll bet you do. Do you feel like putting in all the time and energy to become the next J.K. Rowling or Joy Mangano? Are you the next author of the great American novel? Or maybe your big idea is about having a small coffee shop that people love and come in and visit. Or turn that craft idea of yours or that homemade jewelry or those homemade cards into a business. You can do that. You've heard me talk about the Prosperity Sisters and their incredible liqueur cakes. The one sister, Sue, made one of those cakes for years, but only for family as friends and only as a gift because they were expensive and they took a couple days to make. Well, then a few years ago, that cake became the foundation for their company, Full Spirited Flavors. And they've been on QVC too. So listen, Victory Chicks, if you want more, and I know not everybody does, but if you do, you can have it. I wanted more and better, and I got it. And I still want more and better. I have a couple big ideas, and I'm working them through one at a time. And I have to tell you, one of the best compliments I received at the Girlfriend Gala this year came from someone I've known for maybe 6 years. And I think she used to think I was full of hot air. But last month, as we stood across from each other in the buffet line at the gala, and we were talking a little bit about how good it turned out, and it was sold out, and it was the best one yet, and all that stuff. She looked at me and she said, "You really walk your talk." And you know what? I do. The stuff that I tell you, the women that I bring here to happy hour, all of the work that I do, it's rooted in what I practice. I practice what I teach. So Victory Chicks and you guys, you can have the more you want. And if you have failed in the past, bless the failure and learn from it. And as J.K. Rowling says, let it become your foundation. That's what I've done. And that's what so many Victory Chicks have done. And it's what today's guest did. And by the way, that TED Talk, I put it on to the radio wrap-up. I put the link to it on the radio wrap-up, and it's worth taking a look at. So our guest today, Sandra LaMorgese Ph.D., is an expert in bridging the gap between sexuality and a lifestyle that focuses on holistic health and the mind, body, spirit. She is the author of Switch, Time for a Change, a memoir about her journey from holistic health practitioner to professional dominatrix at 55 years old. She's no 20-something kid. Her passion and purpose is to empower others towards healthy, authentic living. And we'll be talking about that. But listen, I know you. I know I've talked to a lot of women. And you want to know the down and dirty details. So we're going to ask Sandra all those questions about her transition, about her work, and about what she learned when we get back. So listen, if you haven't had a drink yet, go get one now, because it's a good time. And Sandra will be here when we get back. You're listening to the Friday Happy Hour. When you wished you had more time for yourself, and now you have it, but you notice you're keeping busy with stuff, but that stuff isn't making you feel happy or filled up? And when you think about what would make you happy and filled up, you get stuck or feel overwhelmed. And then you go back to what's more familiar, more comfortable, even if it's not making you happy. Wouldn't you love to find a way to start making sense of that deep discontent you're feeling? Well, you're not alone. I'm Annmarie Kelly, author, victory strategist, and the radio show host of the Friday Happy Hour. And I know there's a place for you, one that other women have found to be both inspirational and empowering, and it's the Victorious Woman Project. Go there now and get on my mailing list, where you'll be the first to know about my upcoming online workshops, teleseminars, and more. And while you're there, take a couple minutes to look over my blog. You can download some of the free stuff I have for you and let it get your creative juices going. I'm looking forward to meeting you at the Victorious Woman Project. And that's at www.victoriouswoman.com. Welcome back to the Friday Happy Hour. I'm Annmarie Kelly, and I'm here with Sandra LaMorgese. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you for having me, Annmarie. It's nice to speak with you again.
Oh, same here, Sandra. Listen, when we talked a few weeks back, you told me that you learned a lot about being empowered in your real life outside of being a dominatrix, and you learned a lot about self-worth and money. And I think that's really important, and I want to ask you about all that. But I know, Sandra, just from talking to women over the past couple weeks, everyone has a lot of questions about what you do, what it's like, and how you got into this.
Sure.
So let's talk about that kind of stuff, and I want to set the stage.
Okay,
in fact,
good.
Sandra, I have to tell you, they had more questions. I came up with about 30 questions. They had more questions.
You did. She's got to be kidding me.
So to set the stage, I want my listeners to know that you live in New Jersey. You grew up in a Baptist family, and you were a typical good girl.
Yeah, pretty much like the lady next door, just like any of the listeners listening.
Yeah, and that you were married, and you have an adult son. She's 30-something, right?
Yeah, he's 36.
And that being a dominatrix is a midlife reinvention and something you didn't do until you were 55 years old.
I know. I just couldn't believe it. It was like I took my, hero's journey into this unknown world, and it was really interesting.
But tell everybody what you did before. To me, this change just makes me laugh.
Yeah, sure. I'm a holistic practitioner, and for the last 20 years, I've done mind, body, and spiritual, health healing through detoxification, holistic nutrition, colon hydrotherapy, ozone therapy, a lot of different modalities, stress relief, body treatments. I worked as a director of education for a wellness skincare company. So I have this a fitness instructor. I have a fitness background. So I have all these years of really in the health industry. And
you have an advanced degree in nutrition too, right?
Yeah, I have a graduate degree in holistic nutrition.
And you're a longtime yoga practitioner.
17 years. I'm practicing 17 years.
So you were doing that, and your practice had won awards.
Yeah, actually, my center got some awards from New Jersey Health Magazine. Was voted between the community as the most zen place in New Jersey to visit, and the center got some awards for that.
And did you love what you did?
It was really great. Oh, yeah, totally. I totally love what I do. I still do. I mean, I still incorporate that into my practice, of course.
Yeah, because it's who you are. Yeah. But it was in 2007 when things started changing. What happened?
Well, things started to change, and I started practicing. I started doing some studying in Tantra work. And I started getting interested in energy healing and the transmutation of energy. And I started studying, and I kind of went towards sexuality, this strong energy of our sexuality. And so many women are suppressed with their sexuality, including myself. And I just felt that was an area that we all needed some healing. And it was fascinating to me, and I started going down that road, and everything changed.
And then
everything changed.
And so, and then you had to close your practice.
Yeah, I closed my practice in 2011, December 10th, 2011. I closed my practice. Yeah, and I was sitting there, wondering what I was going to do with my life, and I had so much experience in education. I thought it would be a breeze for me to get a job. I could get a job at a hospital or a health center, maybe Whole Foods, something in the health industry. But I wasn't getting one call back.
Yeah, you weren't even getting an interview. You had no prospects.
No prospects whatsoever.
Do you think that was because of your age at the time?
Oh, I think it was definitely because of my age. And I actually started taking things off of my resume so it made me appear younger.
Oh, I know a lot. Yeah, you don't have to go back to when you graduated high school, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I just started removing things. I'm like, no, I have to appear like I'm 40.
Yeah, and that's a little crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I really felt like it was age discrimination because I just had too much experience, and I was so responsible and, so passionate about my work that I just couldn't. I mean, I could not get a call back from Whole Foods.
Yeah, that. Well, you said you were depressed and you felt worthless, and if you can't get a call back from Whole Foods, that'll do it.
I totally got depressed. I just thought, my life is over. I have no value. What am I going to do? How am I going to support myself? I didn't have family or friends that could help me. I was single at the time. I was dating, but, single. And I was like, what am I going to do? I had no savings. I had already invested every bit of my savings into my wellness center because I created a whole new center. I built a whole new center. So all my savings went towards that. So I was sitting there with nothing.
Yeah, and if you're like me and you're in business for yourself, you probably didn't have a pension plan, health insurance, or any kind of a safety net.
Nothing. No safety net whatsoever. As an entrepreneur, we always, fly.
Yeah. So how long did you go through that depression?
Well, not long. Thank God, not long. It was about 2 weeks I went through the depression, and it was bad. I mean, I really went into a really dark place.
Yeah.
Smoking cigarettes and drinking, and I was just sitting there on the floor like I couldn't move. And then one night I really did. I prayed to God, and I said, listen, just take me. I don't want to suffer anymore. I don't want this anymore. Just take me. Like, I'm done. Mm-hmm. And if I wake up tomorrow morning and I'm alive, then I know that you have a plan for me, and I'm going to move on with my life. The next morning, of course, I woke up, and I really had a change of attitude. I started looking at the things that I was grateful for, and I thought, well, I don't really have any issues. I'm healthy. My son's healthy. My sister and her family. I'm in my apartment. I'm safe and secure. The only thing I need to do is generate income. And I started thinking, and I started manifesting, I am resourceful. I am resourceful. And I kept, putting that out into the universe. And then one thing led to another.
So how did the idea of dominatrix happen? Like, that's, but Sandra, that's not like your typical, I think I'll be a dominatrix.
It was completely insane. A girlfriend was talking to me, and she's like, Sandy, what are you going to do? I mean, really, what are you going to do? And honestly, I had this inspirational thought that came into my head, and it came out of my mouth, and I said, is it illegal to be a dominatrix? And she said, I don't think so. They don't have sex with clients. I mean, sure, you can do it. And the first thing I did was reject it because it's so absurd. Like, there is no way. And she just said, well, you've been doing all this sexual empowerment stuff and working with your clients and sexual female empowerment and this energy work, the sexual energy work and healing. This will be walking the walk. And it's not a bad idea.
But you had never done any BDSM, right?
No.
Oh, and by the way, what does BDSM mean?
BDSM is bondage, discipline, sadism, and masochism.
Okay, so when we're using BDSM now, y'all know what we'll be talking about.
But I wanted to stress, and I know we're going to go a little bit more into the BDSM stuff, but when people have this vision of BDSM, they always think it's, this woman with a whip, and she's beating this guy, and it's just torturous, but there's all levels. They're very, very light BDSM, and there's heavy. And it goes down a lot of different avenues. So for the most part, most people are not looking for that type of scene. So although they are, I'm not saying they're not, but for the most part, most clients do not want that type of heavy scene.
So you you didn't have any experience, and you and you did find a job, and it was they didn't want you at first because of your age, and then you sent them your acting photographs. That when you told me that they wanted pictures.
That was so funny. Yeah. I found a blog.
They wanted your mistress photograph, and you sent them your acting.
I had no idea what I'm telling you. It was ridiculous. I sent them my acting headshot and a picture of me in my underwear that I had sent my boyfriend. It was ridiculous. Because I just figured, they wanted to see if I had a pretty face, and I had no idea what I was doing. And they rejected me, of course. They just probably had the biggest laughs of their life. And they just kind of ignored me, and I just kept getting more curious about it and thought, well, you know what, this would really empower me, and I know that this is going to really mess up relationships, and people are going to judge me, and I'm going to be criticized, but I just found right down inside of me, I kept saying to myself, and I kept feeling it, like, I got to do this. Like, nothing could stop me.
Well, so eventually your persistence led to you being hired.
Yes.
And did the company provide, like, on-the-job training? Like, how did you learn?
They really did. They really did. And when I went in for my first day, when I went in for the interview, first of all, that was a trip, but it felt like I was in a Warner Brothers movie. You know, I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. I just felt like I was acting, like I'd be acting. Mm-hmm. And it was just so cool. It was amazing. And they hired me. I came in for my first day, and they were very, very strict about not allowing anyone to go in with the client without being trained. So I had weeks of training and like shadowing other mistresses before they would even let me get into a room by myself.
And how were the other mistresses? Were they competitive? Like, did they think that you were going to compete for their clients?
Well, you think that because that's usually like a corporate or, it's that kind of a situation where there's a group of women together. But this wasn't really the case. It wasn't the case at all because clients had a certain preference of mistress that he wanted to see. And since we were all varied, size, age, color, education, attitude, we were all so different that clients gravitated to who they were attracted to. So we weren't really in competition at all. We could all be in one room together, but not in any competition because we were all completely different.
And here's something that surprised me when I read Switched, your new book, Switched. Many of the women are doing this to supplement other goals, like being an artist and... Mm-hmm.
Yes, the women were definitely, there were definitely dominatrixes and mistresses in there that were lifestyle, that were really, that's what they did. But for the most part, the women had really great careers that they were building, an opera singer, a classical musician, a documentary producer, a woman was getting her Ph.D., a professional photographer. It just went down the line, and they were educated and they were very empowering women. Like, you went into that room and you spent a year in there with those women, and you came out with them rubbed off on you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to talk about, we have to go to a break, Sandra, but when we come back, I want to talk about your dominatrix name and the outfit. It's always about the outfit.
It's always about the outfit.
So we'll be talking about that when we come back. Everybody stay in there, and if you haven't gotten a drink yet, it's a good time to get one. You're listening to the Friday Happy Hour. Hi, this is Annmarie Kelly, author, victory strategist, and the radio show host of the Friday Happy Hour. I trust you're enjoying my conversation with this fabulous, victorious woman. If you're getting inspired with ideas and feeling empowered, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's more for you. Tips, downloads, resources at the Victorious Woman Project. Go to victoriouswoman.com and look around and get on my mailing list so you can be the first to know about the newest good things I have for you. That's www.victoriouswoman.com. Welcome back to the Friday Happy Hour. This is Annmarie Kelly, and I'm here with Sandra LaMorgese, who transitioned from being a holistic healthcare practitioner to a professional dominatrix. So, Sandra, in your book, Switched, you say that the dominatrix name that you choose is critical. So, what's your dominatrix name, and why is that so critical?
Well, you want to pick a name that you can kind of have an emotional attachment to. Mm-hmm. And my mistress name is Vivian, so I'm Mistress Vivian. Mm-hmm. And I chose that name from Vivian Leigh from Gone with the Wind.
Huh.
So I always loved that character, and she was strong and she was beautiful, but she was also vulnerable. And she made mistakes, but she never gave up, and she kept, going at it and going at it. And you know what? I think I'm going to be Vivian. So that was my name. But all the girls, all the women there did pick names that they had an emotional attachment to, or they could resonate with on some level.
Interesting. And so,
yeah, cool.
And so then. Okay, so that's your name. So did you feel empowered by your name?
I did. I mean, I threw a couple names out, trying to because I was thinking something strong like Catherine or, like something that really Liz, Elizabeth, like something like a powerful, dominant woman's name. And then I just settled. Vivian was my first thought, and I just came back to her.
Well, what you say in Switched is that and I'm quoting you now, Mistress Vivian would be the embodiment of elegant wickedness, a dark Bond girl. Miss Vivian will charm a man with her refined beauty and style, then stick an ice pick through his heart, even as he professes his loyalty to her.
Yes. That's exactly who I am as mistress.
As Mistress Vivian.
Yeah, so I do. I dress really, I dress, classy. I try and I always have very little makeup on. I always have my hair done really pretty. A lot of times I just wear it up in a bun kind of thing, like an updo. And I don't yell and scream or curse or carry on with them. I just, very lightly, and then stick the ice pick in.
I know, and you talk about that in your book, and there are a couple of things I was like, oh. So we don't have to talk about them now, but people can imagine. They can get your book and read about them.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, you get more juicier details in the book for sure.
And then you get to stay on the air.
Yeah, we have to stay on. So we can't talk about everything.
But it's one of the things when you were looking for your outfit and being a woman in midlife. One of the women gave you some great advice.
Yeah,
and
she really did.
That every woman, just in every field, especially if you're over 50, can embrace. What did she tell you?
Yes, she said to me, and I'm quoting myself on the book, you're a beautiful, mature woman, and you're going to be very busy because there are no other mistresses here with your brand. Don't waste your time on trying to compete with the younger girls and what they're wearing. Wear what brings out your own uniqueness.
And Sandra, whatever we're doing, isn't that great advice?
Oh, my God, it was so great because I'll be honest with you, I was the oldest woman there, and we didn't really talk about our ages amongst us, but when I filled out my application, I did put 55. Mm-hmm. So they knew my age.
Yeah.
But, I was the oldest mistress there. And, some of the girls were, 19, 20 years old, and it was very intimidating because I just couldn't, because of society's rules or the way that society puts, middle-aged women out there, that we're kind of like washed up. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking around the room, and I'm seeing these beautiful girls and their costumes, really, in these beautiful costumes, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And that's when she pulled me aside. And that's what she said to me. Took her advice, and it really paid off.
So now you're almost 60. What do you wear?
Yeah, so I'll be 60 next month. Yay. And I usually typically wear, a lot of times I'll just wear my regular dresses, like maybe dresses that I wore in my 40s that are a little outdated and a little too short now for me. Mm-hmm. I might wear those or something up to the knee. Sometimes I'll just wear slacks or black slip, more like Elizabeth Taylor look, like a black satin slip. With beautiful, and I have an account in Manhattan at a beautiful wholesale jewelry store, and I get jewelry there, and I just, really kind of just put jewelry on and make it a really elegant look.
And then, go ahead.
No, yeah, so that's sort of, the look. Or sometimes I'll put, or just like a pencil skirt and a white button-up top, like a business look. So, I stuck with it, and it really worked for my image.
So I guess people who have that, who want to see somebody looking like that, are the people who would come to you?
Yes, absolutely. And I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. When I tell you, I was getting 100 emails a day.
Wow.
From potential clients.
So, Sandra, what kind of men come to see you?
I just couldn't believe it. Well, the typical man is very dominant in his regular life, his job, his family, if he's married, and he's looking for a submissive experience. He just wants to decompress and just wants somebody else to tell him what to do for 1 hour. And I see it as a form of meditation because it brings you present. You have to be present in the experience. You can't be thinking about anything else. And believe me, the dopamine, serotonin, and all the hormones that are releasing during the session, everybody's high when they go out, like a natural high. Huh. So it's really therapeutic. It's very therapeutic.
And is an hour?
They just come and decompress.
And is an hour the typical amount of time that you spend with a client?
Yeah, an hour or 2 hours. Okay. I've had 5-hour sessions.
Wow.
It's crazy, but you just learn, from my training, and I have a degree in communication, so you're a good listener, you're storytelling, you're, just keeping it going.
And what's the typical age for your clients?
I would say the typical age is around 50. Most of the men are businessmen, or like I said, very successful men, so you really have to be in that age range. Mm-hmm. 40s, 50s, 60s, yeah, but towards late 60s, it starts to drop off. Mm-hmm. So around 50s, early 50s.
And you're like 20 or 30-somethings?
Well, the 20-year-olds you just do not pay too much attention to. First of all, they can't really afford to see a mistress. I mean, they're more online, maybe trying to do certain things so whatever young guys do. 20s, no. 30s, yeah. 30s, I get a lot of men who want like a cougar, boss, teacher, aunt.
So you're role playing and you're playing those adult roles, and they.
Yeah, the authority role. The adult women authority figures. So a lot of men have fantasies about their teachers when they were growing up. So where they have, or they might get into like their boss. Mm-hmm. I think women have a misconception, and I know I did. They wanted women to be a lot of the time submissive and cater to them. But honestly, I'll smack my client in the face, and they just love it.
Wow.
Like they want someone to take control and be strong. And
so that they can be not if they're if you're saying if they're dominant in the rest of their part of their life, then at that point they just get to be
submissive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really excites them, and it gives them another feeling. It stirs up other feelings that they're not used to having.
So what kind of money do you get for this? Give me a range. You don't have to tell me how much you get paid, but give me a range. What? Well,
I think in New York City, the typical tribute, we call it, because it's a gift. They're tributing us, thanking us for allowing them to be submissive to us. Mm-hmm. Is anywhere from the range of, I would say, average $300 to $500 an hour.
Well, it's not bad income.
It's not bad income. It's not. I mean, it's not the top income for, if you want to call it sex workers. Prostitutes and escorts get maybe $8,000 an hour. So when you think
but you don't have sex with your clients, right?
No, it's not. It's not about sex at all. It's about domination, and I always say dominatrix. So we do not have sex with our clients at all. If we did, it would put us in the submissive role. So they don't expect it from us. It's fetish work. It's dominatrix work. If we had sex with a client, we would lose all our power, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah, they don't come for us for sex at all. They would never expect the mistress to have sex with them.
But now, do they have a release?
Typically they do. They've eroticized whatever the scene is, and they'll have a release at the end of the session, but I don't, and no mistress does really, has anything to do with that. It's more like a submissive thing, if that makes sense.
So it's not about the sex, it's about being submissive and being relaxed, wanting that sense of relaxation that comes with being submissive?
Yes, definitely.
And
it's not
go ahead.
at all.
Well,
people get confused with that because they think that we have sex with them. But you know why they get confused? Because they look at porn on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
And they see the porn, and those are BDSM porn videos that they're making. Mm-hmm. That's not the reality of the work.
And you know, Sandra, I asked you, I'm talking about men, but do you have women come see you for the same thing?
It's not typical. If we do have a woman that wants a session with us, it's usually a couple. So she'll be submissive. Typically, she's submissive, and the couple, the man's dominant, and then we're going to dominate her, which is a lot of fun. Couples are fun. And I love that because it shows that they're really playing together and having fun together and trying different things. And it's really safe to go to a mistress if you and your husband or your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend want to play and have some fun because it's non-threatening. You never have to worry about the mistress having sex with your partner.
That's true.
Like you can just go and have fun and go into this experience where you're playing together, really. And I feel like I'm facilitating.
I was just going to say, you're like a facilitator of process.
Yeah, I'm more of a facilitator of expression.
Interesting.
Whether that be whether you have a foot fetish or you want to be dressed in a diaper.
We have to take on that, I have to tell you. We have to take another break, but we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. You're listening to the Friday Happy Hour. Are you one of those women who lived the first part of your life as a really good girl? That is, you did all the right things and followed all the so-called rules for women? I was like that too. But have you noticed that once you passed 40, you have less patience for those rules? Maybe you even think that the rules really don't make sense for you anymore. Maybe they never did, and you just didn't realize it. Do you want to go where other recovering good girls meet to inspire each other and support their new empowered selves? Then join me, Annmarie Kelly, and some very fabulous victorious women. We're on Facebook at the Victorious Woman Project. So go to facebook.com/Victorious Woman Project. I'll talk to you there. Welcome back to the Friday Happy Hour. I'm Annmarie Kelly, and we're here with Sandra LaMorgese, who transitioned from holistic healthcare practitioner to professional dominatrix. Sandra, you say that although we may not engage in alternative lifestyles, we love to watch other people doing it, and there's a fantasy and a fascination about it.
Yeah, I mean...
How do you think that created the incredible success of, like 50 Shades of Grey, which is like one of the worst erotic books ever written?
It is, and I'm going to tell you, I spoke to the agent who represented that book, and that book was written as a romance novel. And the woman, it's got the classic formula. Two people get together, one person has a problem, the other person tries to fix it, and they either do or they don't, or they move on, or they keep trying.
Right.
And it actually was created as a romance novel. I don't think that they ever expected anything like this. But I think it's great, and I think that it really opened up the doors to this lifestyle and playing with your partner. Did you, when 50 Shades came out, the year the 50 Shades came out, I think home went up like 75% in rope sales.
Really?
And they were from women. The women were buying it.
Well, see, like I get the fantasy of it. I get the fantasy of it. I just don't get the practice of it.
It really is just playing with your partner and being present. So instead of, just having regular sex or just having your intimacy, what you do, if you could bring some fun into it and a game or a role play, it just makes you more engaged and more intimate, and you start taking more risks, and the more risks that you take as a couple, the more intimate that you get. The more tighter that you get as a couple.
I can get that part.
And you just really are just playing. It's just playing. And it's kind of exciting because you don't know there's that certainty and uncertainty. What's he going to do? What's she going to do? And it's very exciting because in our lives we need two things. We need certainty and uncertainty because stuff gets boring.
And you're right. That's true.
Yeah. So we don't want the same food all the time. We don't want to have the same if we had the same conversation at dinner every single night for 20 years, you're not going to say a word.
Yeah, and
you
you're probably
don't
not
even
going to stay together.
Yeah, exactly. So if you had sex the same way every single time for 20 years, it's really going to get boring, and you're not going to go there anymore. So this is just a fun way of kind of experimenting and just trying different things with your partner. But you have to trust each other, and you have to really be open and non-judgmental. And that takes baby steps. Like you wouldn't want to go into your husband or your partner, and just kind of blurt it out and like go crazy. But you may want to just, like, who hasn't got a little spanking during sex, That's about where it could start.
And is that one of the most common requests?
I get a lot of spankings because of my age, so they want to be spanked.
That's funny.
I do a lot of spanking.
Well, and I know in Switched you said the first time you did that, you did it with your hand, and you hurt your hand.
Oh my God, yes. I spanked him for an hour. He was over my knee, and I was spanking him. We were role playing that he was bad at school and didn't do his work, and he had to get a spanking. And I had no experience whatsoever, and I just used my bare hand the whole time. When I tell you, Annmarie, I had blood blisters and bruises all over my hand.
Oh my goodness.
It was horrible. So, I learned. So now I use paddles and more role playing.
So could you get workman's comp for that?
Hey, you never said
there you go.
Yeah.
But, Sandra, when you started this, I'm guessing there was a lot of disapproval from other people about your work. And
oh, yeah.
I stopped smoking cigarettes, and I lost a whole crowd of friends. What did your friends think?
Oh, I lost all my friends. Yeah, I lost all my friends.
And what did they tell you?
I had a few that stuck around, but they don't really socialize with me in public. Because it's fear-based. I mean, people that I worked with for years at my center, try and, build up working relationships with them. And I had one woman that I worked with for years flat out, right into my face, said, I'll do things with you in private, but I can't do anything with you in public because you're going to ruin my career.
Wow. Wow.
So people really...
And the other thing, you're out there. Like, you've been on the Howard Stern show, and you've been...
Yeah.
So you're out there.
Yeah, Forbes, Fortune magazine. I have my Huffington Post blog that I'm on the front page of Huffington Post every other week. So I'm really out there. So, when you change, I mentioned this in the conclusion of my book, when you change and you ask God and you ask the universe for change in your life, stuff is going to change. And you're not going to be able to hold on a lot of times to the people and places and things in your old life. And I'm not saying that, what I did was extreme. And, I really went to the left side. But when you change, people are not going to like it.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying. All I did was stop smoking cigarettes. And I lost a whole crowd of people. But
yeah.
And it's advice I give to, I've given the same advice to many people over time. When you start changing, it means everybody else either has to change along with you or you have to let them go. Or
they drop off. They drop off. But then you make new friends.
But
and you make
that's right.
Yeah, you have new relationships and you have new boundaries now because, believe me, when you lose everything, when you come back, when you start rebuilding yourself and you start, really embracing who you really are, that authentic self, you put up boundaries. And you're like, no, this is who I am, and you can't bring that to me anymore. So some things don't feel right anymore. Like I'm sure when you go around people that smoke, you must be like, whoa, that can't resonate with you.
Well,
is that how you feel? Yeah, it's life changing. It's life changing, and I think we need to go through pain, and and you have to go through a zone that is very uncomfortable. Because if we stay in a comfort zone all the time, wherever we are, nothing ever gets changed. It's that pain and suffering and anguish that changes us in a really great way. It's so beautiful when you come out inside, like that butterfly,
well, that's
coming out of the cocoon.
And I was saying that in my open with J.K. Rowling said, if you never take a risk, And if you never do anything that puts you on the edge, then it's almost like having a life not worth living.
Yeah, I heard you say that. I was listening. It was really beautiful. Like you need to take risks.
Well, let me ask you this question. How did being dominatrix empower you in your life outside your job, and how did it impact your relationship with money?
It impacted it both in that area like 100%. So, in my personal life now, outside of my work, I've really learned how to say no and be okay with it and not do things out of guilt. I only do things now because I want to. I definitely have boundaries that I have set up that I do not, back off of. And I never had that before. With business, clients were late or they didn't show up and they called the last minute, or, friends or boyfriends or dates or something that didn't value me and my time. I put up with it. I had very loose boundaries before. Now I have really tight boundaries. If a date cancels on me or wants to reschedule, I'm like, wait a minute. You and I had a commitment. You change whatever else you have to do in your life. Not me.
And is that what you mean when you say and switched that you told yourself, I want to take care of me, and that you learned something about that there's a difference between wanting to do that from a place of power instead of a place of need or of guilt?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it really...
How is it different?
It's different because it's about self-esteem and self-worth and value, instead of trying to make other people happy and if I make them happy, they'll like me. I'll be valuable to them if I make them happy. I have to just be valuable to myself. And I learned that as a dominatrix, and it's just because it's such a receiving job. People worship you. Like women do not allow men to worship them anymore. Like men take me out to dinner, they bring me presents, they, massage my feet, like they just do things for me constantly. And it's like you have to have self-love and be able to receive to do this work. And that flew out into other areas of my life with other relationships.
Well, Sandra, I'm getting the high sign from my producer that we have to go, but this has been quite a happy hour. And
yes, it has.
And my listeners and I might have always wondered, and now we know at least a little, and you made us laugh too. If my listeners want to get a copy of your book, Switched, I posted your website. You can go to your website because I posted that on the radio wrap-up today, and it's sandralamorgese.com.
That's right.
And you have a special offer for my listeners, a free 15-minute consultation to talk about life transformation, sexual intimacy, and communication, how to let go of fear. And they can get to you that way through info at sandralamorgese.com.
Yes, and I would love to hear from everyone. That would be awesome.
And because I think that you look so fabulous at 60, at just about 60, I asked you for some beauty tips from your holistic practice. You gave them to me, and I posted those on the radio wrap-up.
Good. Thank you.
Sandra,
that was really nice of you having me.
No, I'm glad that you came, and have a great weekend.
Thanks. Enjoy.
Thanks. And listen, if you're a Victory chick and you want to chat with me a little bit about this show or any of the others, I have a private Facebook group called Victory Chicks Community. And go to Facebook, you search on Victory Chicks Community. Once you get there, you can ask to join it, and then once you join it, then join in the conversation. We'll talk about that more. That J.K. Rowling TED Talk, I posted that link on the radio wrap-up tease. This Sunday, by the way, is Father's Day. So all you guys out there who are fathers, I wish you a happy Father's Day. I hope you're seeing your kids and enjoying that day. I'm leaving you with this quote from Mae West, who else? Who said, between two evils, I always pick the one I never tried before. You know what? And she said something else that I think will resonate with. She said, there are no good girls gone wrong, just bad girls found out. Have one great victorious weekend. Chen's on.
Thanks for listening to this Friday Happy Hour. Make sure you subscribe, rate and review today's show. And join us again next week for the Friday Happy Hour with Annmarie Kelly.